identity, I guess nothing's more powerful than believing that we are a man or a woman. But we're not. We are consciousness having an experience as a man or a woman, which is another computer program, another way of experience. How can what we are be a man or a woman when by certain chemical and changes and uses of drugs, you can move from a man to a woman in a very, very powerful way? How can you do that? It's because what they're doing is changing the construct of the computer, and it's moving between a man and a woman. How can we be men or women as who we are, not what we're experiencing, if that's the case? This is just a slide to remind me of this story. A few years ago, we had a chicken in Britain called Freaky the chicken. And it was called Freaky because it started off as a hen, laying eggs, all the rest of it. And then, because they'd had a testosterone explosion, which happens from time to time apparently out of nowhere, it started to become a cockerel. It grew a comb on its head, started crowing at dawn, and it was chasing the chickens, chasing the hens. Now, how can we be male or female when chemical changes can move you from one to the other? We can't be. It's another illusion. This is what I got off the BBC website once. Scientists have been able to take control of flies' brains to make females behave just like males. Researchers genetically modified the insects so that a group of brain cells that control sexual behavior could be switched on by a pulse of light. The team was able to get female fruit flies to produce a courtship song, behavior usually seen in males. How can that be who we are when you can get hold of the brain and change who we are? Why is it when I'm writing a book at the moment, when I'm doing that, I get up real early, and in the winter, before the sun comes up, and I'm sitting there writing, and then the sun starts to come up, and all the birds start singing. I mean, is there a bird with a baton saying Q? It just happens. Why does it happen? Because it's a computer program. Why did the Freaky the chicken, when it started to grow a comb, why did it start crowing at dawn? Did someone tell them that's what cockerels do? No. It's the program that had changed, and so it reacted to program. Then another thing we think is that our emotions are who we are. Oh, he's very emotional. She's very emotional. But what are emotions? How can emotions be who we are? And by the way, near-death experiences say in large numbers, I didn't feel the same emotions as I did when I was in the body. These fierce emotions of stress and anger and all the rest of it, I didn't feel them. How can emotions be who we are when a chemical change, again, can affect us fundamentally emotionally? We had a woman in England a few years ago who was a clinical depressive for 40 years, in and out of institutions. And she was in a real terrible state. And she went into it real quickly. And after 40 years, someone said to her, can you think of anything that happened about the time this started? And the only thing she could think of was she had, I think it was 19 tooth fillings with mercury. So she was advised to have the mercury fillings taken out. She went on a mercury detox, and the 40 years of clinical depression disappeared almost as quickly as it came. Now, if you'd have asked that woman for 40 years, who are you? She'd say, I'm a clinical depressive. No! It was an imbalance caused by mercury for 40 years. Yet we identify who we are with our emotions. We even identify who we are with our thoughts. If you just can sit quietly and just move your awareness back and just watch your thoughts pass by, listen to them as they go past. And you can sit and you can observe thoughts passing through your mind. And then you think, hold on a second, if I'm observing these thoughts, who's observing? Consciousness. Because thought is a very, very low level of awareness. Knowing comes from consciousness. Thought comes from mind, because thought's trying to work it out. That's why we constantly have the chatter in the head. Good habits, bad habits. Are they really who we are, or are they the computer program? So this false identity is built up through lack of understanding of who we are, and that's what holds us in the trap. Comes down to two sides of the brain as well, which fundamentally affect our behavior and our perception. This is a lovely picture by Neil Haig. The left side of the brain is where we use our language, and it's about structure. It's about the world that we see. It's about the intellect. It's about seeing everything as apart from everything else and nothing in unity. And it loves structure, and it loves rules and regulations. Ooh, give me another rule. I'm a left brain. Ooh. And the right brain is where we get our connection out, as well as the heart, into the great beyond, the higher levels of awareness. That's where, and because, we get our creativity from. This is the artist. This is the person who has creativity. That's where the maverick lives, in the right brain. Because the right brain tends to see everything in unity. When people take psychoactive drugs, they change the way the brain decodes reality, and that's why we have very strange experiences. Well, I've only done it once. I had a fantastic experience, but some people have very bad ones. But this is the point of all this. This is what the system does, and this is why it does it. It puts symbolically soldiers on the door to the left brain, because it doesn't want its slaves realizing they are actually free. So we live not just in a mind-made world, we live in a left brain reality constructed world of structure, of exams, of information indoctrination, of limitation and sense of limitation, where communication can only be in words, of course, because everything else is just mumbo-jumbo paranormal nonsense, telepathy rubbish. Got to do it with words, because I'm a left brain. And these are put there, called teachers, politicians, scientists, doctors, ourselves, that keep us from understanding who we are, and we get completely lost in the left brain reality, thinking it is what we are and where we are. This man, Albert Camus, said an intellectual is someone whose mind watches itself. And when a mind watches itself, it is a form of insanity. Why? Because when a mind is watching a mind, where is the consciousness? Nothing wrong with the intellect if it serves the experience of consciousness, but when it becomes the governor of perception and the governor of possibility, then we have the kind of world we live in now. Would the right brain go to war? No bloody chance. Would the left brain go to war? My God, how long has it been doing that? Century after century after century. It's the left brain reality, which we are manipulated to perceive reality through, that makes this world crazy while thinking it's sane. That's where the prison planet comes from. The prison of the left brain reality. And it's that which holds us in this round and round and round, getting nowhere life. René Descartes, the French mathematician and philosopher, defined self-awareness as I think, therefore I am. What he was falling for was the idea that mind and thought is who we are. At the level of mind, not consciousness, I would update that and say it's actually I compute, therefore I am. Because so much of what we do that we take to be personal choice and decisions is actually just following the program, thinking it's us. Because those behind the scenes understand how the body works and its computer nature, they understand how to program it. This is what was going on all the time. It's mass hypnosis. You know, when you you go on a stage, or you see people on a stage in a hypnotist stage show, what does he do? He implants into the mind